Vladimir Putin speaks, James Creedon listens. Proof now in Media Watch. You tuned into that one.
I did, well, with a little help from from some translators.
Of course.
So this was an effort for him to fight back. You know, it was Putin saying...
He's had a few people protesting and calling him names.
That's right, name calling. And but the thing is, you know, this was a chance for a serious sort of conversation with the public, over 4.5 hours of talking to people. And what were people talking about on... you know, do you see these white ribbons here? First of all, Putin said during that, oh, they look like condoms. You know, which is pretty contemptuous.
People were wearing condoms.
He said these white ribbons, which were a symbol of the protest movement. He said, "Oh, I thought they were something to do with the AIDS movement, condoms." Okay. But he said that, but a lot of people were talking about how smooth-faced he looked for a man of his age.
He does look like he's been Botoxed or something.
Well, actually, this we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But the Botox thing, absolutely, it was the trending topic on Twitter today. People, instead of talking about Putin or Russia or all the issues that he brought up, people were talking about Botox. In fact, if we have a look at some of the tweets online, this particular journalist says, "You guys are you having fun? We already passed the 1 hour mark." And Putin no longer trending, but Botox is. So people are actually referring to Botox more than they were referring to his name.
There's the spelling in Russian. Botox.
Botox, exactly.
Botox.
Pretty inspired from the English, I think.
Of course, of course.
And so here you go, that this Botox trends on Twitter amid Vladimir Putin's surgery rumours. Now, I suppose this is interesting for a number of reasons. First of all, this is not entirely new. This goes back to last year when he appeared in Ukraine with supposedly a black eye. Some said it might have been after a fight of some description. Others said it might have been after surgery.
Black eye could be anything, couldn't it?
It could be anything.
He's an action man, isn't he? You know?
So, but I suppose what's interesting to point out here is, I suppose Putin has been treated almost as a sacred figure by some.
Sure. This is a big change, isn't
it? You daren't go there. And now if people are talking about him being Botoxed, especially for a man who has a very macho image, it's not a very macho thing to be talking about.
Yeah.
So
you wouldn't catch you or I being Botoxed, would you? Hey.
Not at all. Not at all. So there you go. I think it was a pretty indicative sign of the times in a way that people were talking about his appearance and possible plastic surgery more than anything else on Twitter today.
He does look different though, doesn't he? He does look different.
He does. He definitely does.
No two ways about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about these accusations that are in the British press.
Yeah.
That one Monsieur Nicolas Sarkozy has called David Cameron an obstinate kid on the issue of Europe.
Right. Now, it started in this Canard Enchaîné, French satirical weekly.
Weekly.
He didn't say it to his face, according to them. He said it to his own people. He said, "Oh, Cameron is behaving like an obstinate kid." But the thing is, this comes after. Let's have a look online here, because the Daily Mail was leading last week with a supposed snub, le snub,
Okay.
Snub, right? Which actually didn't really happen. It was totally blown out of proportion, and it was said that he ignored Sarkozy or Sarkozy ignored him. This a week or two after Sarkozy had told Cameron to shut up over the euro, and now you've got headlines like this in the Daily Mail: Cameron behaved like an obstinate kid at the Brussels summit, sneers Sarkozy. So clearly the Daily Mail is not at all impressed with this sort of slamming of their
It's
PM.
not as if the Daily Mail has an anti-foreign, anti-Europe agenda, is it?
Not
He's
really.
there with his tongue
really.
in his cheek, you know.
Not really. They're totally neutral here. And I thought what was quite funny is obviously the Daily Mail isn't impressed with this, you know, don't touch King David.
Yeah.
The Guardian, for their part, is saying, well, you know, is Cameron an obstinate kid? You know,
that's a very Guardian approach
fair question. Fair question. Let's poll our readers. And the readers, not surprisingly, think that he is an obstinate kid. So you can see here two very different approaches, two very different newspapers. And I thought this tweet was pretty interesting. Au revoir, entente cordiale. Bonjour, you need to shut up, you obstinate kid. So I suppose a sign of the times.
Okay, there we go.
And, you know, it brings us neatly to...
you got a bit more bashing the British by the French.
Brings us neatly to yesterday's headline of Charlie Hebdo, not known for its reverential front pages. Mais qui veut des Anglais dans l'Europe? Who
wants these English people in Europe?
Who wants someone in Europe anyway? So I'll give you a look at that there. I've seen more flattering portrayals of your countrymen.
They are two typical English or British people, okay? I'm not going to say what the tattoo says on the forearm of that lady with the pierced belly button, but it's a kind of word that you can't say on television.
That's right. No, it's not very
Terrible
nice.
Stuff,
but you know,
funny. It's very funny though, isn't it?
You know Béatrice Prestage, who works here.
Yes,
she had
an
interesting take on this. She said, "Well, at least the Brits are a bit rock and roll on the front page of this." She said, "If it was the French, if you know, let get the French out of Europe, they'd be in berets and onions and the whole." You know.
Yes,
so at least she's saying at least they're being kind of simplified in a slightly glamorous way. Although I'm not sure it's glamorous.
It's even more rock and roll on the inside.
As it is known to be. So a new low in Franco-British relations, Mark.
Okay, I'm sure we can drag it lower, James. You and I together, you know, with or without Botox. You know.
Off screen.
Indeed. Okay. I don't think I can take any more. James, thank you very much. That was Media Watch with James Creedon.